Tonight, an iconic Newfoundland performer has died. That story and...
Well, it was officially the first snow day of the season here in the Avalon, and what a better way to spend it than out sliding. My name's Malone Mullen. I'll have all the storm aftermath details coming up.
Well, this site may be familiar to some. The old hospital in Corner Brook, now called the Community Health Care Centre. And the Health Authority is moving 45 patients in here soon to help with the overflow at the new spot.
Why did it take so long?
We just needed a bit of time to get organized, to get people in the right jobs.
I'm Colleen Connors, and I'll explain it all. That's tonight on Here and Now.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Welcome to Here and Now. We begin with news from the courts. Police have charged a 53-year-old man from Trinity after a single vehicle crash killed 2 people over the summer. In July, Glovertown RCMP responded to a crash on Route 320 near Hare Bay, about 65 kilometers from Gander. Officers found a truck in flames in the middle of the road, and a man and woman, both 62, died at the scene. The driver, Roger Hunt, was also injured. Hunt has now been charged by the RCMP with 2 counts of dangerous operation causing death. Hunt is due back in provincial court in Gander on April 8th. Well, the first storm of the season pummeled eastern Newfoundland overnight and into this morning, bringing heavy snowfall and winds. Here and Now's Malone Mullen was outside for parts of the storm and for the cleanup.
Ferocious winds spiking at over 100 kilometers an hour. Residents on the Avalon woke up to a whiteout. Winds whipping falling snow into a frenzy. Visibility down to just the hand in front of you. A proper blizzard by definition, but one that quickly tapered off as the morning wore on. Grounded flights and idled buses eventually returned to service. Schools, courts, and liquor stores stayed closed for the day, though, as people in the east dug themselves out. Even by Newfoundland standards, it was a lot of digging. 41 centimeters had fallen by the end of it. Some snow piling up in deep drifts. One downtown resident wasn't overjoyed to be outside, having to figure out where to put all this snow. But in typical Newfoundland fashion, he wasn't working only for himself.
I'm shoveling out my house and my neighbor's walkway here.
That's very kind of you.
Yes. Well, it's an elderly lady that lives here, and the barber is elderly as well, so I might as well do that. Someone helped me shovel my car out, so then I just passed it on to shovel out the neighbors.
While today's snowfall didn't exactly break any records, it certainly does look impressive, and it is quite an impressive mess to have to clean up. The city says its crews are out on the roads, and they expect to have roads cleared by 1 p.m. tomorrow. It's not all hard work, though, and some smaller residents in St. John's didn't put much work in at all. Sienna Walsh spent her afternoon waiting impatiently for Dad to dig them out. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to go sledding now.
Yeah, right now, right?
Uh-huh.
Should you tell Daddy, hurry up and shovel?
Hurry up and struggle.
For a 4-year-old like Sienna, and for the young at heart, the winter's first snow day isn't all just a chore. As the sun came out, it meant snow angels and sliding instead of just sore backs. Malone Mullen, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, moving now to central Newfoundland, it seems like the snow has been arriving a little later than usual for the past few years, and that hasn't been great news for snowmobilers. But with flakes falling these past few days, the season is finally starting to gear up. Troy Turner has that story.
This should help a lot. Central Newfoundland's trails may have had roots and rocks showing last week, but today's snowfall has meant that more people will be able to get out and enjoy Newfoundland and Labrador's favorite winter pastime.
Well, this is not the first year we've had a late start. It's actually been, the last 4 years have been a slow start. It's been February before we've gotten much snow.
As climate change alters the length, strength, and start of the winters in this province, users adjust their riding habits. Blair Sparks says there are 2 solid months of riding, and he's hoping people from the eastern portion of the province will take advantage.
On the weekends, there's a lot of traffic going west You see a lot of trucks and trailers with snowmobiles on them. So I know a lot of people, you know, from this area and from east of here are going over to the west coast because they know there's a bit more snow over there. But if we can get some snow here, perhaps they'll only go as far as central and then they'll offload and do their snowmobiling here.
Some younger users in Gander were not deterred by the lack of snow last week and get out every chance they get.
Not too bad. A few rocks, but it's pretty good so far. Yeah, I just go out on my own, go wherever I want. I mean, yeah, it's pretty good.
For some, it's an annual rite of passage. For others, it's a brand new pastime.
Probably like a week. That's it. I only got mine like recently. There's nothing really to it. Just like going fast on it.
Snowmobile trails throughout the province require year-round maintenance. It's the work in the off-season that helps keep trails smooth in the winter.
A lot of the local associations have done a lot of work in the last couple of years on the trailway. Anyone that's been out there on their side-by-sides or walking, or those people that have been out there on Skidoo will notice that there's been a lot of mulching done on the sides, so it's been widened out, and the trailway has been graded as well. So that improves it so that you don't need as much snow, and then you can start grooming.
Now that the snow is arriving, safety needs to follow. Earlier today, the RCMP put out a public notice asking that riders keep safety first when hitting the trails this winter. This includes wearing the proper gear and equipment, packing provisions for unexpected delays, and being prepared for severe weather changes.
Today's weather makes for prime conditions. Sparks, whose day job as a meteorologist, is hoping for more of the same for the rest of February and into March. After that, he says, it'll all depend on what Mother Nature offers us. Troy Turner, CBC News, Joe Batts Pond.
Well, emergency crews responded to a fire at the Paradise Town Hall around 4:30 yesterday afternoon. The flames hit the part of the building that's used as a depot for heavy equipment. While the town is still assessing potential damage to its machinery, it says in a press release that nobody was in the building at the time, and the snow clearing equipment was not inside the depot at the time. It had been moved behind the Paradise Double Ice Complex, and the town says its snow clearing crews were in full operation today. Well, to Corner Brook now, where the new $750 million hospital is overflowing with patients. To help deal with that and house 45 patients, the health authority is going to reopen the old hospital. Here now is Colleen Connors reports.
This is the Corner Brook Community Health Care Centre, but most people know this as the old hospital site. And within this year, 45 patients will be moving into 2 floors of this building to receive home-like care. Why? Well, the new hospital that took years, $750 million to build across town, just doesn't have enough space. The Western Memorial Regional Hospital has 164 beds and an overflow problem. People who no longer need urgent medical attention or are waiting for long-term care are taking up acute care beds. NL Health Services needs somewhere for them to go. So they are renovating the old facility, 2 floors of it, to house patients recovering from surgery or patients waiting for long-term care.
What transitional care would do is it would provide an opportunity for people to have up to a 35-day admission, and we would put plans in place to support them to transition home. Where transitional care is different is that it provides a home-like setting, and it provides the supports for people to do for themselves, to get up out of bed, to get dressed, with assistance.
My thought is good news in the short term, but my problem is that why did it take so long?
Patients in this part of the province have waited decades for the new hospital to open. Over the past 8 months, MHA Eddie Joyce has heard horror stories about patients waiting 30 hours on stretchers in corridors because there are no available beds. Joyce says government has had some serious planning issues around the new hospital.
So when someone comes in that should be admitted, there's no acute care bed to put them in. If a person has surgery, instead of waiting for 2 or 3 days to recover, there now is 1 or 2 days.
Back in the fall, there was a plan to double up some rooms in the long-term care facility attached to the new hospital. But that was reversed. The health authority says 25 to 30 beds are taken up with patients who do not need acute care. Freak disagrees with the mismanagement idea.
So there was master planning done around the needs of healthcare for this area. You know, we're at a point now that we are in this facility for 9 months, and it is really unfortunate that people are having that experience. And we take that very seriously, so we've been working diligently on plans.
While the new building has a lot more parking, the old facility still handles all the laundry services. Public health also uses the 4th floor, and there are administration offices in the old building. NL Health Services is in the process of purchasing the proper equipment to renovate 2 floors here into this transitional home-like setting. Renovations should start this week. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, the race for the federal Liberal leadership is continuing, with the party voting on March 9th on who will represent them in the next federal election. 5 candidates are vying for support: Karina Gould, Chrystia Freeland, Frank Baylis, Ruby Dalla, and Mark Carney. The latter has the support of this province's only Liberal MPs seeking re-election. And Joanne Thompson explained why at an event last week.
This is a pivotal time in our history. We're seeing our democracies fall before us. So, we need a leader who, one, has the expertise, the ability to govern through what we know is going to be a turbulent time. Without a doubt, I think Mark Carney has that. I mean, he understands the economy, which we know we have to pay attention to in the coming years. He also understands environment. We cannot let go of our attention to the environment. I think economy and environment go hand in hand. And he also, for me, is able to do this work and still hold a social lens. And I think that's incredibly important.
Well, when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was first elected in 2015, he was backed by many young voters. And 10 years later, the younger generation could play a pivotal role again, but this time against Trudeau. Jenna Head reports.
Many young people don't remember life without the Liberals in power. It's been a decade, both federally and provincially. But times are changing, and voting behaviors could be changing with it.
Young people today are concerned about themselves, about their ability to get good jobs, their ability to be able to afford a home or to pay rent. And those are the issues that Conservative parties are speaking to. 10 years ago, young people were looking for inspiration, and Mr. Trudeau delivered that inspiration. These days, young people are concerned about cost of living, affordability, very practical issues. And Mr. Poilievre speaks to those practical issues.
At Memorial University, NDP and Liberal student groups have long been established. Now, one student hopes to revive the MUN Conservatives for the first time since 2021.
There has sort of been a little more a cancel culture towards, if you say you're conservative, you're not considered cool. Like conservative are seen like maybe older people or things of the past. But I would encourage everyone, like the people who are listening, I'm like, okay, I'll come up with my own slogan. I'm saying it's cool to be conservative.
Kaleem is about to become a Canadian citizen, and the federal Conservatives will have his very first vote.
The quality of life is going down, and that's what the other youth is also noticing, that the freedoms or the luxuries that the people enjoyed 10 years ago, they don't have access to those.
The former PC candidate for St. John's West and president of the party's Women's Association says it's time for a leadership change in this building.
I think there comes a point where what we're doing isn't working and people's lives aren't getting better. People are ready to see a change. Whether that change will be effective, who knows? Nobody really knows. But if we don't try something else, we will never know.
Provincially, a blue wave could sweep across the province in the next federal election, according to CBC's poll tracker. 5 of 6 Liberal MPs have decided not to run again. Meanwhile, the Conservatives' apparent appeal to young people is reflective in its candidates, with the youngest being 27. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
I'll take a look at the temperatures today, much colder than they have been. -4 was the daytime high in St. John's. Temperatures up across Labrador into the -teens and -20s. That is a drop right across the board for most, except along the coast of Labrador. And if we take a look at the weather headlines on the way, weather on the way, I should say, cold tonight. We're going to see some squalls develop as we head through tomorrow for the west, and then a quiet couple of days. I'll get into all of that coming up a little later.
Well, the remaining half of legendary musical and comedy duo Corey and Trina has passed away.
There's something which has puzzled me. I'm not too sure which is Corey and which is Trina. I bet you're anxious to know too. Let's go up here and find out. Hello, folks. How are you?
Hi, Anna.
Hi. Well, hello, Corey. How are you?
No, I'm Trina,
Anne. Oh, excuse me. Oh, you're Corey then.
I'm the Corey. Right.
Well, tell me, how am I going to remember this? C for Corey and C for what?
Well, I'll just show you. See? C for Corey and C for Cap. Now, here we go.
Well, there we are.
Now, Trina is the lady's name, and Corey they calls me. We are both from Newfoundland, as you can plainly see.
Well, iconic Newfoundland performer Corey Crew died on Saturday at the age of 80. Crew was born in Northern Arm and raised in Grand Bank. He and his wife, Trina Fulford, were high school sweethearts. The pair performed together for 3 decades, spanning the 70s to the 90s, and they were best known for their song, The Northern Lights of Labrador. They released 4 albums and were very popular on the island's pub scene. Trina passed away in 2007. Well, from Newfoundland tunes to Hispanic rhythms, which were celebrated at the Latino Hispanic Multicultural Bazaar in St. John's yesterday. And that's not the only thing visitors got to experience at the market.
This is actually our 11 bazaar.
This is my second market with the Latin and Hispanic Bazaar. I really enjoy it because, you know, we get to showcase cultures from all the Hispanic communities.
I was born in Peru and I moved here when I was 2 months old. I love to keep both of my heritages because my dad is Canadian. And so I decided I'd sell some Peruvian desserts so that people would be able to try them.
I get to see people that I haven't seen in a while. I get to try some amazing Latin food, and I'm learning different things.
There are many students that are coming with their family. Sometimes the wives or husbands doesn't have the language and it's hard to find a job. But they come here to support their partner until they finish the university. We are giving the opportunity to work. We do some lessons for how to manage food, to have permits to cook. This is how they can contribute to their families. And kids are having fun here. It is a family event where everybody is dancing, little kids and grown-ups. It feels like a party.
I'm looking forward to do more of these Latin bazaars. This is my second one, and I'm having so much fun.
Well, as you heard earlier, St. John's got 41 centimeters of snow overnight and early this morning, and that means crews and equipment are out in full swing for the first time this season, 200 workers in total. While the city says clearing all sidewalks will likely take more than the usual 5 days, it hopes to have the road cleanup done by tomorrow afternoon.
Looks like the City of St. John's received about 41 centimeters with this recent snowfall event, so our crews are still out. Working around the clock for the next foreseeable future for sure. We've done an assessment this morning and we figure by 1 p.m. tomorrow we'll have all the streets cleared and widened. So typically for snowfall events 25 centimeters and under, we can get that done within 24 hours of the end of the storm, but with the 40 centimeters and in particular with the high winds still and drifting occurring, 1 o'clock tomorrow is the timeline for us.
We ended off with $33,000. It's absolutely incredible.
Well, a young man held a fundraiser for his dad to support the Alzheimer's Society and spread awareness. And they were overwhelmed by an outpouring of support.
Well, before I get into the forecast, I wanted to share this video with you. As you can see, you can't see much, just the sheer strength of the wind early this morning during the blizzard and about 4 a.m. in Trepassey. Thanks to Lauren Gregory for this, who says that the sound of the wind woke her up. And I must say, Carolyn, I was up early too. First snowstorm of the season. It's exciting.
Yes, it's fun for you. I didn't want to get out of bed.
Yeah, the clearing it this morning, not so much.
Yeah, it was so much snow, and yes, those winds were loud and fierce last night. Yeah, and today, lots and lots of cleanup.
Yeah, and the winds really didn't really ease all that much this afternoon, but the good thing is that the snow did. Let's take a look at the numbers across the province because they were quite significant. We've said it a couple of times, but 41 centimeters in St. John's today, or from last night into today. CBS picked up 38.5, Paradise 38.4. So all really, the forecast panned out pretty good. We did see about 28 centimeters in Brigus, Bay Roberts 28. And then Bonavista even and St. Lawrence picked up between 24 and 26 centimeters of snow. So yes, lots to clean up. Temperatures are cold as well, sitting at about -10 right now in St. John's, -21 with that wind chill. Temperatures really across the board, either in the minus single digits or just barely into the minus double digits, and even up across Labrador. -18 right now in Nain. Factor in that wind chill, feels more like -28. So taking a look at the current satellite radar, you can see that area of low pressure offshore there. Clouds cleared earlier today. Other than that, not a whole lot happening this afternoon. However, we do have some flurries on the west coast, and that will generally continue as we head through tonight. This colder air, the snow squall machine will kick up yet again. But all the watches and warnings for now have ended. But we do have those winds still at 80 kilometer per hour winds in Bonavista right now out of the west. Winds still topping out at about 67 kilometers per hour for Twillingate. Same thing for St. John's. And we're going to see these winds continue as we head through tonight. But other than that, we do still have the onshore flurries or squalls for those of you on the west, southwest, and even potentially the Burin Peninsula as we head through tonight. And other than that, we should see some clearing skies. Labrador quiet as well. Not a whole lot going on for you, just cold. For the most part tonight, -teens, towards the coast, -20s through central areas of Labrador and Lab City. You're going to sit around -33 tonight. You may see a few flurries here and there, but nothing too significant. And then across the island, anywhere from about -9 to -14 or even -17 for the northern peninsula. But again, anywhere along the northeast coast of the province, we are looking at some gusty either northwest or west winds, anywhere from 50 to as much as 70 kilometers per hour tonight. That is going to lead to a wind chill. Wind chills will generally be in the -20s, -30s, and -40s, though, for those of you in Labrador. Now, as far as those snow squalls go into tomorrow, they're going to be, potentially 5 to as much as 10 centimeters of snow in some of those squalls, but the persistent squalls we may see upwards of 10 to even 15 centimeters of snow by the time we get into Wednesday morning. And you can see even southern areas of the Burin Peninsula and then maybe even reaching the Avalon as well. A lot less snow, but there's certainly still the chance to see some of that squall potential. And the models are doing a great job on that. It will completely depend on the wind, though, tomorrow, whether the Burin Peninsula and southern Avalon sees those squalls develop, but that chance is certainly there. And into the afternoon, we may see a few flurries develop again through central areas of the island, maybe even along the northeast coast. But overall, it'll actually be a pretty lovely day tomorrow as far as that sunshine is concerned. Nothing really happening up across Labrador. Some sunshine for you as well, along with some of this colder air continuing through the day. Now, through the overnight, it's probably the best chance of seeing some of those squalls for the Burin and southern Avalon. But overall, it will be an unsettled day for you. Temperatures tomorrow in the east, anyway, will sit in the -7 to -9 degree range with winds out of the west across the board, or northwest, somewhere between 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. You get into central and the west coast, your temperatures are going to be sitting in the minus double digits. And then along the south coast, generally around -7 or -8. But again, wind chills tomorrow are going to be in the minus teens and minus 20s. Labrador, at least towards the coast, you're looking at your temperatures in the minus teens, maybe a few flurries in the mix, but overall tomorrow will be pretty decent as far as that sunshine goes, but cold again. In the west, your temperatures will sit around minus 20, and again, your winds will be breezy, particularly late day. Now, quiet couple of days, which will be a nice break, but we got another system potentially as we head towards the end of the work week. I'll break that all down for you coming up a little later.
All right, thank you, Ashley. Well, the Marine Institute held its annual nautical skills competition over the weekend to bring students into the action and put their skills to the test. Using simulators, they competed in many exercises like docking a vessel in 20-knot winds, conducting search and rescue operations, and troubleshooting a stalled engine. The CBC's Julia Israel was there.
Yeah, that made another good rounder that time. I'm sure we're right on that D-shackle this time.
Today is Judgment Day for students of the Marine Institute. Do they have what it takes to handle the job?
Brain just gambler, go ahead.
It's been going pretty good. I mean, it's very stressful. You know you're in simulation, so it's not all real, but you just feel so into the moment that it all feels real.
In the real world, you may be under pressure as well, so this is a good time for us to learn about what we could do, what our abilities are, and how to potentially manage something in the offshore world if something were to go wrong, for sure.
Students work in teams, putting their nautical skill to the test. This is just one of 9 exercises.
So this one here that we're in now, the teams would have been simulating driving a offshore supply vessel, typically not done by junior officers or cadets more especially, but they'll do it here. It's a lot of fun. There is prize money and things to be won at the end of the day, but there's a lot of friendly competition going on.
Inside this offshore simulator, every move counts under the watchful eyes behind the camera. Today, you're seeing some pretty fatal mistakes.
You are, but you got to give them a lot of credit. This is stuff that they haven't done before, but a lot of it is stuff outside the curriculum that they usually do at school, so they're getting to interact and seeing the fun part of going to sea, see the fun part of working on a ship. Then there's the evaluation, which is very long, 2 pages for the exercise itself, and it adds up to 100 points.
How do you think I would do on one of these?
I'll give you 50% right off the bat.
Let's see about that.
Wires lined up good for the middle of the roller.
Copy that.
Doing my darndest.
A hands-on competition for a hands-on career.
I'm really looking forward to the ship handling one because when I finish school, I'm going to be working up on the Great Lakes, and there's a lot of ship handling that's being done up there. So.
And this is your life. You're going to hear the sounds like scraping and scratching.
It shows our students and our industry partners that connection. It's the pipeline of talent, and they start to build that relationship with those people.
The best way to learn is to dive right in.
As a cadet on board of a boat, you don't get a chance to display leadership, but in a competition like this, people are counting on you. You get to delegate. They're having fun. It's a lot of fun. I had a great time.
Well, early onset Alzheimer's is a devastating disease, but one St. John's family is trying to turn a terrible diagnosis into something positive. A few weeks ago, we spoke with 16-year-old Seth Hyde and his father, Darren, who has early onset Alzheimer's. He was recently diagnosed at age 56 and has been very open about his experience. The Hyde family held an event at the DF Barnes Arena, fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Society. They were overwhelmed by the support, surpassed their fundraising goal, but they say it was about much more than the money.
Well, we started off with a $1,000 goal, and we thought that that was a very, very steep goal. We were like, we'll just try to get as many people through the door as we can with that $1,000 goal. But we ended up blowing that out of the water. We ended off with $33,000. It's absolutely incredible.
People started piling in, and you know, there was not much parking lot left in the rink there, or on the rink, and it was amazing. Really, they didn't expect it, and everybody was happy when they came in. Everybody was happy, which was great.
There was like no pity. It was all like, oh, Darren, how are you doing? It wasn't like, oh, look at poor Darren over there. Like everybody was all happy and wanting to talk to him, and everybody was positive, yeah. As we said the last time, the reason we did it was because Alzheimer's and dementia is very near to not only my family's heart, but all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians and Canadians. Everybody's all too familiar with Alzheimer's. And, you know, we just wanted to educate, but we also wanted Dad to, like, you know, see some people. Like, we were hoping that some unexpected people would come in. Like, all 4 shifts at the fire hall came in and visited and handed around the hat and collected money and donated. Dad saw people from elementary school, saw people he used to play hockey with. So we saw a lot of people that he didn't expect to see, and that made it that much better.
Tell me about some of the conversations that you had, because as I mentioned, it wasn't just about raising money, it was spreading awareness and engaging with people on this topic that is difficult for a lot of people to talk about, especially when it comes to early onset Alzheimer's, which is what you have diagnosed at age 56.
Correct.
Tell me about the engagement with the people and what they were saying to you.
A lot of them that I'd never seen before came in, and they had all sorts of stories of, you know, just catching up kind of thing. And my wife Jackie put stickers on it, so they'll know that I'm Darren and Seth and that. So it was easy for me to say, oh, hi Carolyn, you got, you know, with your sticker on that. And so I was smiling the whole time. I wasn't crying. My wife was crying a lot because she met a lot of people that done stuff for us. So it was, for me, it was so positive. It was lovely. People coming in there hugging us. A couple of people that's in our area where we lived to was coming and crying and stuff like that. I said, everything's going to be okay. You know, I'm feeling good, and this is a great opportunity to have happiness, and going forward, we'd keep that run as far as we can go.
And what do you want people to know about this disease?
Well, it's scary, but you have to be open about it, because if you hide it from everybody, it just makes it worse on yourself. So be open about it. I mean, obviously be sad about it. You know, it is a tough diagnosis, but, you know, enjoy the time you have with your family member, your friend that has it, and just try to stay positive as much as you can.
I think I tore this off the wall there the other day when I was here, and I thought that this little quote was excellent. Community changes everything. And that's what we liked about that.
And what is it about that quote that resonates with you?
Be a part of the community doesn't mean how you see Alzheimer's and that. Just keep going, and it'll make it better for sure.
Tell me more about what that has done for you.
My wife said that for next bunch of days, she said Darren seemed like he was normal. He was, because all the people was there, and I was laughing and carrying on. And
he was right in the midst of it all. Like, he was like a celebrity there. Like, everybody wanted pictures with him, and he was shaking hands and kissing babies, and now he's running for the Liberal nominee now this election. No, you're joking.
Yeah, but I must say it was a great opportunity, and we love seeing all the people. Yeah, and we appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and telling us about it. Thank you once again.
And am I able just, you know, thank everybody. Like, there's no way we'll ever be able to thank all of our volunteers, you know, the Avalon Celtics who allowed us to use DF Barnes Arena, like we just can't thank everybody. So this is just a thank you to everybody.
And you know who you are.
But a thank you to everybody who showed up, everybody who volunteered. It means a lot to our family, so we really, really appreciate it. And hopefully, we'll see you next year if we do something else. Absolutely.
Well, as President Donald Trump escalates his tariff threats, the Prime Minister is meeting with world leaders at an AI summit in France. As Ashley Burke reports, while Justin Trudeau works to stop punishing U.S. tariffs, he's also trying to diversify trade with the European Union.
The Prime Minister arriving at a high-profile reception in Paris during a moment of uncertainty, as Canada waits again to see if Donald Trump's latest threat is real. Trump sent his Vice President J.D. Vance to represent the U.S. on his behalf. His appearance just a day after Trump warned widespread tariffs are on the way.
Everybody, steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum, sir?
Aluminum too.
Trudeau's 5-day visit in Europe unfolding as Canada tries to diversify its trade so it's less reliant on the U.S.
Allow me for a moment, in front of an audience from every corner of the world, to be very, very proud of Canada and of Canadians.
At an artificial intelligence summit, the Prime Minister pitching Canada as the country to partner with on AI.
We have all the building blocks for the future of the world's economy. And yes, we're reasonable and always polite.
Justin Trudeau has yet to respond to Trump's latest threats, avoiding reporters just before midnight heading into his hotel.
Canada will respond if there is an executive order.
At Canada's embassy, the ambassador of France and special envoy to Europe says Canada is in talks with Denmark, standing against Trump's pledge to take over Greenland.
In order to respect international law, you don't threaten your neighbors by invasion.
Trump is also continuing to call on Canada to become America's 51st state, which Trudeau has said is not going to happen. The Prime Minister is expected to continue to speak to world leaders on the sidelines of the summit as they prepare for whatever Trump does next. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Paris.
Well, Air Canada has admitted it had no record of a handful of passengers that took its flights in recent years. They call the incidents rare and a technological malfunction, but others call it a safety concern. The CBC's Erica Johnson has more in a Go Public investigation.
Hi, Auntie Ha.
Montreal's Yukhar Lim doesn't speak English, so her niece is helping to tell her story. Lim recently took a trip to Europe, but when she tried to check in to fly home from Budapest, learned Air Canada had deemed she didn't show up for an earlier flight on her itinerary and canceled her return ticket, standard policy amongst airlines. Except Lim says she wasn't a no-show. Her niece translates.
I was very scared and I did not know what to do.
Desperate to get on the plane, Lim shelled out almost $2,600. Later, tried to get compensation, but the airline insisted it had no record of her boarding the plane. Go Public has learned of 5 other Air Canada passengers, all also incorrectly deemed no-shows. Their return tickets also cancelled. The airline insisted that Dan Ratkoff and his family never flew to Calgary for their ski trip, despite boarding passes, even a selfie on the plane.
I think it was 3 or 4 times that I was told that I am not in Alberta and that I didn't show up at that airport.
Christopher Bailey's flight from St. John's to Vancouver was cancelled, so he sued and learned the airline couldn't even find his seat. 34A did not show on its flight manifest. An Air Canada spokesperson said these cases are extremely rare and due to a human error or technological malfunction. Incorrect flight records can be a major safety concern, say experts, who point to rare cases of aviation emergencies, like the recent crash in Washington.
People are trying to rescue those people, and if they don't know how many people are in the water, how do they know when they have them all?
An Air Canada spokesperson said safety was in no way compromised, but repeatedly declined to address what might happen in an emergency. The airline said it will reach out to the customers it incorrectly deemed as no-shows to rectify the situation and apologize. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, the European Space Agency says it's closely monitoring an asteroid that has a small chance to hit the Earth in about 7 years.
Let me tell you, the most likely scenario is that by the time we lose sight of the object in April this year, the impact probabilities will have lowered enough not to worry about this object anymore.
Well, so-called asteroid 2024 YR4 was recognized as a potential threat in December. Experts believe it has nearly 99% of a chance of safely passing by Earth in 2032. But they can't completely rule out a 1% possibility of impact. The space rock is estimated to be between 40 to 90 meters across. A hit could release energy ranging from 5 to 50 megatons. Scientists plan to discuss a global response if the probability stays above 1%.
The miners are a family, and they have to take care of each other.
It's truly an honor as a Newfoundlander to be able to go out there and bring back a representation of all of the Newfoundlanders that weren't able to come back.
Love the world around you because it does shimmer with the impossible sometimes made possible.
Well, as you heard earlier in the show, Corey Crew of the iconic Newfoundland musical duo Corey and Trina passed away over the weekend. The pair was best known for their song The Northern Lights of Labrador. And we dug into our CBC archives to bring you part of that piece now.
I've travelled far neath the northern star since the day that I was born. From the Caribbean to New Orleans, I've been inclined to roam. And the beauty I've seen and the places I've been, I thought I'd see no more. Till I saw the lights that shine so bright in the skies of Labrador. Those northern lights that shine so bright when the night is cold and clear. The snow is bright from the pale moonlight and silence fills the air. I cast my eyes to those sparkling skies and I can't see what's more. Those northern lights that shine so bright in the skies of Labrador.
Such a great song, and condolences to their daughter, Karina. They named their daughter Corey and Trina, Karina.
Oh, that's amazing.
Condolences, Karina. Okay, so let's talk about the weather, the long-range forecast. We were pummeled last night and early this morning. How much time do we have to get this cleaned up before we're hit again?
We've got quite a bit of time, actually,
right.
a couple of days, which will be nice. Some sunny days ahead, too, which will be quite lovely. Let's take a look at what's going on as we head through our Wednesday. So we still have an area of low pressure offshore there, and really just going to bring some potentially windy conditions for coastal areas, the north coast of Labrador anyway. Other than that, the snow squall machine going to continue as we head into the afternoon hours on Wednesday along the southern areas of the island, as well as the Burin Peninsula and even the southern Avalon. We may see some flurries, but other than that, there's really not a whole lot going on. Weather-wise, our temperatures are going to stay chilly, sitting into the minus single digits for most of the island, with the exception of the northern peninsula, where you're tapping into some minus double-digit temperatures. Same thing for Labrador and Lab City. Again, another day in the minus 20s into the afternoon on Wednesday. Again, you may see a few flurries for the north coast of Labrador. As we head into Thursday, it's going to be fairly quiet weather yet again. Again, a few flurries possible for the southwest and western portions of Labrador. Late day, but overall daytime highs are going to sit in the minus single digits. So really not moving a whole lot temperature-wise really anywhere until we get to Friday. This is when we're watching, or I'm watching, the potential for our next weather maker. This is one model. This is the European model, so a longer range forecast there for you. Looks like the snow will start at this point Thursday evening, and then it'll completely depend on the track, but this one tracking a little bit further west, obviously, than that last one, and a lot weaker too. But at this point, we could see a transition to some ice pellets and potentially some rain again on Friday afternoon. So you're going to have to keep an eye on this forecast because the track will determine who sees what over the next couple of days. But at this point, in behind that system on Saturday, we're in for a windy weekend. That will be the story right across the board, even up across Labrador as well. Long range forecast, I have the temperature there sitting at 2 degrees for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. So at this point, you know, we'll keep an eye on it. But at this point, I'm going to keep us in the potential to see that changeover. By Saturday, temperatures drop and the return of some snow. And again, those windy conditions, that will be the story through central and western Newfoundland. Overall, your daytime highs are going to stay well below zero. And then for Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures in the minus teens with some flurries or snow arriving for the weekend. And then for western Labrador, you're looking at some flurries by the time we get into Friday. Our weather photo of the day in Postville. Look at this.
Oh, beautiful.
Just heard the song and now we're seeing the picture.
The Northern Lights of Labrador.
That's right.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
A beautiful shot there. Thanks to Emma and Tara for that. If you have any weather photos, send them to nophotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that's beautiful and fitting as we mark the passing of Corey Cruz.
That's
so. Okay, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. I hope you can join us again tomorrow.
Good night.